Hello and welcome to your Wednesday strength session. I hope you've all been able to get as much exercise and training done as you would like, and I imagine that a lot of you have been out and done some online shopping and got hold of a few bits and pieces that might help you to exercise at home. So today's strength session is going to be using some of those tools that you might have purchased. We're going to be using some mini resistance bands or loop bands, and we'll be using some larger resistance bands or pull-up bands. Now there are a few different makes available, and I will give you some links in the comments of the video to help you find the ones that are suitable. I'm using TechRise for the mini resistance bands. I prefer these ones. They've got a slightly smoother texture and they don't pull on your leg hairs quite as much as some of the others. And the larger pull-up bands that I'm using, I've got some made by Free2 and some made by physics bands, but with those ones I don't have a particular preference between the two makes. Now, don't exercise if you're feeling unwell. That's not wise, and indeed if you're injured, then avoid exercising on any injuries that might aggravate it. And make sure you warm up first. So I'm going to do a bit of a warm up now. Make sure you take the opportunity to warm up as well. Spend 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes warming up. I'm going to do a bit of a jog around the garden to get the heart rate elevated. I'm going to do some step ups on just a little wall there, and I'll do a little bit of skipping and some lunges, multi-directional lunges, forwards, backwards, sideways, and a few squats as well. So do your own preference of warm-up drills. Make sure that all your body parts get moved through their full range of movement, including the top half. Actually, there's a little bit of content with the upper body today. There'll be a little bit of core work and getting your shoulders involved as well. So get yourselves warmed up and then come back to the video. See you in a bit.
Madness, they call it madness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. It's plain to see that is what they mean to me. Madness, madness, I call it gladness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. I'm about to explain it. I think someone is losing their breath. Hey, madness, madness, I call it gladness. Yeah.
So I'm warmed up now. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a sweat on. It shouldn't be fatiguing, the warm-up. You just want to activate those muscles, get everything stretched out to its full range of movement that you expect to use in that session. Get your temperature up a little bit. Now, whenever you're doing a strength session, it's usually a good idea to make your first exercise the one that's the most demanding, both physically and mentally. Those which require coordination, those which require movement patterns that are a little bit complex, those that involve the biggest muscles doing a lot of hard work. So for my first exercise today, I'm going to do crab walking. It's a lot of people's favourite exercise. I'm going to be using quite a heavy resistance band, 4 out of 5, and I'm also going to keep the band quite low down towards my ankles. That in itself makes the exercise a little bit more difficult. If you want to make the exercise easier, you can have the band up here or just below the knees, but I'm going to make this quite difficult for myself and keep it quite low down. So I'm going to do 12 steps to the right and 12 steps back again. We keep tension in the band the whole time. We don't let the band slacken off and slip down. Slight squat to begin with, so just there's a bit of a bend in your knees. Your bum's back a bit, so chest over knees over toes, and we're looking at small, slow movements to the side. I'm going to do 12 steps to the right and 12 steps back to where we are. Now you're sure to be familiar with this one. It's plain old squats, but of course, again, we're using a resistance band to get that little bit more out of it. I'm using 3 out of 5 in the strength, so a medium resistance band. And the point here will be to push the knees outwards as we go into that squat. Just push against the resistance, but the band is trying to squeeze your knees back together. So don't let your knees go together, keep them pushed out. Do keep your weight spread evenly across both of your feet and towards your heel as well, from the midfoot to the heel. Don't go up onto your toes. Feet about shoulder width apart and go down nice and slow. I'll just rotate for another view. Now you'll probably notice my back is not parallel with my shins. It would be ideal if it was. I've not quite got the right range of movement in my ankle. Now this one's a personal favourite of mine. This is for knee drive. Great thing about it, it involves hip flexion, knee flexion and ankle flexion all at the same time. We can go into why ankle dorsiflexion is so useful at some other occasion, but for now let's get on with the exercise. And we can also include arm movements with this so that it teaches the brain to synchronise your arm motion with the hip, knee and ankle motion. So we're going to wrap the band around our feet. I'm using, incidentally, a medium strength band, 3 out of 5 strength. And again, use the right kind of strength band that is right for you. We want to get through 12 reps each side. As I said, we're looking for hip flexion, knee flexion and ankle dorsiflexion. So I'm cocking my toe upwards to keep the band on, and that's a great positive. Side. 12 each side, couple of minutes rest, do 3 sets. I've got a wonderful tree that's going to be very useful in hooking my resistance band to. I've got a lot of different notches at different heights that I can hook onto at different angles as well. If you haven't got a tree as irregularly shaped as this, you can always use lamp posts, fence posts, railings, door handles if you're indoors. If you are using a door though, do make sure that you're pulling in the direction of closing the door. You don't want it flinging open as a surprise. Now for single leg exercises, I've got with me a garden tool to help with my stability. And I've got a piece of wood just so that I can stand on that with one foot to keep the other foot elevated, just so that it's not dragging along the floor while it does its thing. So we'll begin with some kickbacks. We're just starting far enough away to take a bit of tension into the band and kick back slowly from there, slightly bent legs, engage the glutes. looking at doing about 12 each side while you get used to this kind of exercise. And while we're here at this very useful little stump at the bottom of the tree, just want to show you another single leg exercise. This one's an alternative to the mini band knee drive we looked at earlier. The only disadvantage with this one really is that it doesn't give you the enforced ankle dorsiflexion, keeping your toe up. It's not necessary in this to keep the band on because the band's around your ankle. Whereas with the mini band, you've got that added bonus of enforcing to keep the toes up, to keep that mini band on. But with this, it's a slightly different one. Let's have a look. Now I have the band anchored at shoulder height and I'm holding it in my hand. This is not an arm exercise. This is a trunk exercise. The point is to keep my trunk nice and stable, nice and firm, facing forwards as I resist that pull, as I pull the arm across. Again, starting with a slightly squat position. Each side, a couple of minutes between each set, do 3 sets. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the session, we should always begin with the exercise that is the most demanding, physically and mentally. The exercises which involve the most coordination, the largest muscles, the most muscles. So, to the same end, we're ending with the exercise that involves little coordination, smaller muscles, less concentration. So we're going to end with some ankle exercises. We're going to do some eversion, so that's turning the ankle outwards. And we can do that sitting down, or you can do it lying down. An ideal way to do it, really, I find, is having your resistance band around the bedpost, and then you can rest the one foot on top of the other foot. And although that's inversion with the right foot, there, if the resistance band was on the bedpost over there, then I'm pulling away from the bedpost with inversion. Or if I was the other way around, again on the same bedpost over there, if I was pulling with the left foot, that would be eversion. But we're going to do this sitting down on a garden chair. So I'm using a medium strength band, 3 out of 5. You want the band around the toes and start with, again, the tension just starting there in the band. I'm going to keep the one foot still while I do the eversion on the other foot. Slow, controlled movements. The great thing in this position is you can go straight onto the other foot. As usual, 12 each side, 3 sets with a 2-minute break in between. Well, I hope you've had a good session. Let us know how you got on. If you do want any help or advice making some of those exercises easier or harder, let us know. We'll see what we can do to help. I'll also drop some links to those products that I was using today, and particularly if you've done it on a hot sunny day like this, don't forget to rehydrate. Cheers.